Now check this out. Those who are in power didn't just come in power accidentally. You don't just accidentally come into power, people. You must have a strategy. You must have a plan. Y'all following what I'm saying? Not only did they have a strategy and a plan, they passed it on. They passed down their plan. They passed down their strategy to their offspring, to their future generations. And that strategy and plan is forever keep the oppressed ignorant.
Yes, yes.
They had to put a device in place that would ensure their perpetual empowerment over the minds of the people that they deceived. This device is the fabricated and bogus history about God's choice of them as his special chosen people. Did y'all grab what I just said? A people who know that they are truly the enemy, not only of the people they oppress, but the enemy of God.
Yes, yes.
They had to put a device in place to be sure that we never experience being from under their control. Let's look at some references in the device that they put in place. Y'all don't mind this, do you? I want to kind of pick up from where I left off last week here. How many of y'all got Bibles? Hold it up high. Hold it up high. Now, if you can stomach what I'm about to say, only if you can stomach what I'm about to say, look at it real good and say, this is the device that they put in place to keep me in my predicament. Now, I noticed everybody couldn't say that. That's okay. That's okay. I understand. Believe me, I do understand. There was a time I couldn't say it either. In fact, there was a time, oh man, not this book. This book means more to me than my mama. I was there, y'all. If you don't come in alignment with this book, you and I can't have right fellowship with each other. Am I making sense? Yeah, but see, once you understand, in fact, how many of y'all saw National Treasure? I don't usually, if you haven't seen it, go see it. Go see it. Go see the program. They actually tell you right in the movies now. Go see the program. If you have your Bibles, turn to Genesis, the 12th chapter. I want to blow your mind right quick here. Genesis, the 12th chapter. Come on, let's do some Bible work here. I want you to see in their book, in their program, the program for your suppression. If you have it, say Ashe. Genesis 12 and 1. It says, now the Lord said to Abram, get thee out of thy country. Get away from your family. And get away from your father's house. Get out of here. Get out of town, Abraham. Or Abram at this time. And I want you to go to a country that I'm going to tell you where to go later on. I ain't going to tell you now where you're going. I just want you to get out here and go. Y'all see that? You need to ask yourself the question, what God is this talking to Abraham? Because see, the truth of the matter is, according to the biblical text, Abraham's daddy was named Terah. And according to the Bible, Terah did not worship the God we're reading about right now. Okay? According to the biblical text, Terah, Abram's daddy, worshiped false idol gods. So now what God is this talking to Abram? Because the only God Abram knew was the God he was brought up under. Uh-oh, I see y'all thinking. Good. Now here's the deep part. This God says to Abram, I want you to get out of here. Leave. Leave place. Take your family, Abram, and leave your father's house. Get out of this country and go to a land that I'm going to show you. Now this is going to blow your mind, people. Second verse, it says, and I will make what? I will make of thee what? Now this is some deep stuff. I will make of thee a great nation. And I will what? Bless thee and make thy name great. And you shall be a blessing. Third verse. Now check this. This is where it gets real deep, y'all. This God says to this guy, Abram, I will bless them that bless thee. Okay? And I will do what? Curse them that curse thee. And in thee, and in you, Abraham, or Abram at this point, shall all the families, isn't that what it says? Yeah. All the families on the earth going to be blessed because of you, Abram. So Abram, fourth verse, so Abram departed as the Lord had spoken to him, and Lot went with him, which was his nephew, and Abram was 75 years old when he departed out of Haran. Oh, this is some deep stuff. So where did the man end up going to? Now, before we go any further, before we go another further, keep your finger there and turn over to Galatians, the 4th chapter, verses 22 through 24. Now don't get upset with me for what you're about to read. Okay? But see, you got to see this program of control here. We just read in so many words that God, whatever God it was, said to Abram, I'm going to send you out of here, Abram, and I'm going to make you the most chosen, choicest family on the planet. And any blessings that anybody on the planet gets is going to come through you, Abram. Isn't that what we read? Anybody who blesses you, Abram, I'm going to bless them. Anybody who curses you, Abram, I'm going to curse them. Now look at Galatians, the 4th chapter, verse 22. Oh my God. Y'all got Bibles? You there? Notice what it says. Verse 22. It says, for it is written that Abram had 2 sons. Who had 2 sons? Abraham had 2 sons, one by a bondwoman, the other by a free woman. 23rd verse. But he who was of the bondwoman was born after the flesh. He of the free woman was by promise. Now notice the first line in the 24th verse. For those of you who haven't seen this before, what does it say? Which things are an allegory. Look at it. It's right there in their book. It tells you plain as day that the whole story of Abram is exactly that. It's an allegory. The man never existed. The man never historically walked this planet. So now if it tells you here that Abraham is an allegory, then what in the world are we reading in Genesis? You got to put the pieces together, Africans. Now let's go back to Genesis 12 and 5 and read the lie that we all was raised to believe in. I got to set you free, people. Genesis 12 and 5. And so Abram took Sarai his wife, and Lot his brother's son, and all their substance they had gathered, and the souls they had gotten in Haran, and went forth to go into the land of where? Canaan. What land? Canaan. Why Canaan? Why Canaan? Well, let's read who Canaan is. Turn to Genesis, the 10th chapter. Come on, let's break it down here. Genesis, the 10th chapter. Genesis, the first book of the Bible, y'all. Genesis, the 10th chapter. Now, reading from their record, it talks about the sons of the progenitor of the black African people. In the biblical text, the progenitor of black Africans is called Ham. The 6th verse of the 10th chapter of Genesis. And the sons of Ham, the black African of the biblical text, his sons, he had 4 sons. What are their names? Cush, which is, we call it today Ethiopia. What's the second one? Mizraim is pronounced, which today is known as Kemet or Egypt. What's the next one? Foot, which is known today as Libya. And what's that 4th brother's name? Canaan. Say it one more time. Canaan. 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 A black African, according to the biblical text, a black African. Now there's some deep stuff, y'all, because this God told Abram, get out of your city where you live, leave your family, leave your country and your kinfolk, and I'm going to take you to a land. Abram said, where are we going, God? God said, I'll tell you as you go. And it just so happens that this God sends this person who never really existed to Canaan, the land that the black folk developed. Y'all all right? Yeah. 6th verse. And Abram passed through the land unto the place of Shittim, unto the plain of Moreh, and the Canaanite was in the land. In other words, when Abram got here, there were black folk already there. Now that's some deep stuff, because God told Abram, I'm going to give you this land. Why? Why would God do this? God is just going to take somebody's land and give it to this homeless, nomad, wanderer, gypsy, who never even existed in the first place. See, once you understand this, people, you say, man, they made this whole story up just to deceive the minds of those who had the truth. 27th verse. And the Lord appeared unto Abram and said, unto thy seed will I do what? Give this land. I'm going to give these black people's land to you and to your offspring, Abram. And there he built an altar unto the Lord who appeared unto him. Now what's really deep about it is those of you who have been programmed to love the B-I-B-L-E. You've been programmed to digest this hook, line, and sinker. You read this and say, well, that was God's will. You see the control mechanism here? Oh, this is some deep stuff, y'all. Let me show you how deep it is. He goes through Canaan, but that wasn't enough. He wanted to get some other land too. Greedy. Look at the 9th verse. And Abram journeyed, going on still toward the south. 10th verse. And there was a famine in the land. So where does he go? He went on down to Egypt. Now this was getting, y'all, when you really look at what this dude did, even though he didn't really exist, but even in their story, how can there be any honor to what he did. Notice what he did. It says, and he said unto Sarah his wife. Now Sarah, listen, I know you fine. You are ultra fine. You are a good looking woman, Sarah. That's what it says in the 11th verse. Just to look at you, men want you. I'm transliterating it, of course. You see that there, right? He says, I know that thou art a fair woman to look upon. You see it there, right? So notice what he says. He says, now I want you to understand, when we get down into Egypt and these black African brothers see you, they're going to want you. Okay? And you so fine, Sarah, that they're going to want you so bad, okay, that if they think I'm your husband, they're going to kill me so they can have you. Y'all see it there? That's 12th verse. It says, therefore shall come to pass when the Egyptians shall see thee, that they shall say, this is his wife, and they will kill me, but they will save your life. So here, now notice he goes on, so now check this out. The man, according to their story, now mind you, he didn't exist in the first place. So why did they have to make him prostitute his own wife? Why did they have to make that up? If he didn't even exist, why you had to create this lie? They made the man prostitute his own wife. He said, so listen, when we go down to Egypt, I want you to tell everybody you my sister. I'm telling you my wife. Telling you my sister, so that it may be well with me. Look at the person say, looking out for your own flesh. That's all his brother worried about here. He worried about saving his behind. Tell him you my sister so they don't kill me. For my soul shall live because of thee. 14th verse. And it's going to come to pass that when Abram went into Egypt, the Egyptians saw how fine Sarah was. 15th verse. And the princes also of Pharaoh saw her and went and told Pharaoh about this fine sister that just came into town. She was so fine, nobody in town deserved to have her but Pharaoh. 16th verse. And Pharaoh entreated Abraham, or treated Abraham well, not because he liked Abraham, but because she was so fine. You brothers, y'all know what I'm talking about, right? A lot of times y'all get good treatment just because how good your lady look, right? I'm going to tell the truth, man. You go in a store and you get a break that you wouldn't get if she wasn't there. So it goes on to say that Pharaoh had Abraham, they gave the man sheep. 16th verse, gave him sheep, gave him oxen, gave him asses, gave him men servants and maid servants and she asses and camels. All because she must have been a fine sister. She had to be awesome, man, for Pharaoh to give Abraham all this stuff. In other words, I want this woman. We call it today prostitution. The man prostituted his wife so that he could get on. Now, of course, he didn't exist. But even in their story, it's horrible. So, God sent plagues, according to the 17th verse, in Pharaoh's house because Pharaoh was sleeping with Abram's wife. How do you do that, man? I mean, come on. How does a man do that? You know, I'm going to give you the Pharaoh. 18th verse. So Pharaoh called Abram and said, man, what you done up in here? What up in here? Why you tell me that this was your sister, man? And got all this stuff coming on me here. And why you mislead me like that? Man, take this woman and get out of here. So it didn't kill him after all, did he? 13th chapter, 1st verse. Notice what it says. And Abram went up out of Egypt, he and his wife, and what's the next line? And all that he had. Look at the person next to you, say, according to their story, he went into Egypt with nothing and came out a rich man. That's how they do it. Went in with nothing, prostituted his wife, and came out a rich man. And this is the man that our oppressor has made the father of the faithful. This is the man that every time they talk about God, they say the God of your father Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. This is the man who supposedly the salvation came through him because God promised this crook. God promised this liar. God promised this no good pimp. Thank you. But all the nations of the earth are going to be blessed because of you, Abraham. Abraham had a son named Isaac, and Isaac had a son named Jacob, according to their story. Of course, we know it didn't happen because Abraham is an allegory. Notice the 32nd chapter of Genesis. 32nd chapter of Genesis. Abram's grandson, a man named Jacob, thy name, the 28th verse of the 32nd chapter, and he said, thy name shall be called no more Jacob, but Israel. This is God supposedly speaking now to Abram's grandson. For as a prince hast thou power with God and with men, and hast prevailed. It blows my mind how this God can give so much to crooks. Because Jacob, according to their story, Jacob was a deceiver. According to their story, Jacob was a supplanter. According to their story, Jacob swindled his brother out of his birthright.
Yes, yes.
And yet this is the one who supposedly God said, I'm going to change your name to Israel. And now you got a whole bunch of phony people walking around here calling themselves Israelites. I don't mean no disrespect. I'm not saying that I'm not talking about our brothers and sisters are phonies. But what I'm saying is they're actually identifying themselves under what's called an epitome. An eponymous identity is when you name yourself after somebody who never existed. How can you be an Israelite if there was never anybody named Israel except in the lie that they made up? Am I making sense, people? Are we that hard up Africans that we need to name ourselves after a figment of somebody's imagination? Hebrews. There were no Hebrews. In the Bible, there are Hebrews. In the Torah, there are Hebrews. In the Quran, there are Hebrews. But you got to understand, you're talking about 3 books from 3 major Western religions that the white man gave us all 3 of them. I know somebody don't like what I'm saying. I don't care. I'm past that point of caring what you think. I got to tell you like it is. There was no Hebrews. There was no Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. We just read Abraham is an allegory. According to their story, Abraham is an allegory. So there was no Israel. And if there was no Israel, you can't have a Hebrew Israelite. 35th chapter, 10th verse. And God said unto him, thy name is Jacob, or Yakub. Thy name shall not be called anymore Yakub, but Israel shall be thy name. And he called his name Israel. And then they went and put this lie up further into the Bible. If you turn to John, the 4th chapter, the 22nd verse, this is the program they gave us. They gave us this program. If you turn to John 4:24, you'll see what it says there. It says, for salvation is of the Jews. You see the program here, people. The program is, if the world is going to be saved, they're going to have to be saved by accepting the program of the historicity of these bogus people. Now, I'm going to be honest with you, I really don't care whether they believe it or not. But I do care that so many Africans believe it. That's what bothers me. My people, the people who had God consciousness before the white man even came out of the caves. We're the ones who believe the lie that they fabricated and made up and gave to us. Now, how did that happen? They stole us from the roots of our cultural past. They deracinated us from our awareness. Deracinate means to cut off. Then they enslaved us. They would not allow us to even discuss where we came from. They wouldn't allow us to beat the drum. They would not allow us to talk our cultural language. They wouldn't allow us to use our African names. In fact, not too very long ago, folk used to ask you, what's your Christian name? Y'all know they did? Yes. What's your Christian name? And we said it with pride. Smith, sir. Johnson, sir. Holloway, sir. Those are Christian names. There was a time when Africans refused to accept their Christian names. Now we're proud about it. Salvation is of the Jews. I gotta say it. There is no lie bigger than that. Y'all, I ain't gonna lie to you. Sometimes I listen to what's coming out my mouth now, and I get amazed. I'm serious. I get straight up amazed, man. I mean, I think back, just the other day I was looking at a picture. In fact, I was looking at a picture on the wall, and there me and my graduating class from Trinity Seminary, and I'm standing there proud with my robe on, and I graduated with my master's in sacred literature, proud Negro. Little did I know what God had in store for me to get their training so I'd have the knowledge that they want you and I to have, so I could use that awareness, use that knowledge to free your African mind. Don't fight me because I tell you the truth. I should be looking at y'all out there watching me on television. Won't come up in here because you're scared. I need to be telling you, I'm trying to free your African mind. These people up in here got folk who live right around the corner on this block who won't come up in here, but they order our tapes all through the mail. That's a mind blower to me. What are you afraid of? You afraid somebody gonna realize that you finding out you black? What are you afraid of? The most glorious thing that has happened in my life is coming to the realization that I'm an African warrior. Man, that's a wonderful experience. Ain't nothing like it. The old song used to say, finally got myself together. Now I know just who I am. When you get yourself together, when you get your African mind right, ooh, buddy, that's a wonderful thing, brothers and sisters. Now, since John 4:22 is a lie, let me tell you the truth. Salvation is not of the Jews. Salvation for the human race is not of the Jews. They are a bogus people. They never existed. And as I said in the previous message, get my tape, The Illegitimacy of a People Called Jews. It'll help you break it all down. Salvation is of the African. man and woman. Salvation comes from those who are truly the people of God. We are the ones that got the answer. Something's really wrong, black folk, when you walking around singing, Jesus is the answer for the world today. I used to sing it. I did. I didn't know any better. Right knowledge is the answer. Not the doctrine of the Roman Catholic Church. Not believing in some faggotized dude. Black people are the answer for the world today. But now you ain't the answer, black man, black woman, if you don't even know who you are. You want spiritual power? Get right knowledge. You don't have to go on no fast and pray to the God we just finished reading about. I'm laying before God. Oh, hallelujah. Laying before a figment of somebody's imagination. You don't have to fast for power. Look at the person next to you and say, the greatest power on this planet is already inside you. Our problem is we don't use it. Appropriate the power of your Africanness. They know it. What is it that they know about us that they don't want you to know about yourself? Why do you think they gave you this lie? So that you won't use the power that's in you. Because if you use the power that's in you, it's all over for them. And they know it. That's what cultural imperialism is all about, people. Cultural imperialism is taking a culture that truly has the answer and deceiving it and usurping it or supplanting or suppressing it with another culture's lie. And then make you believe it's the Word of God. But really it's not God, it's government. And if you study this carefully, you'll see that this lie about Abraham that they made up and Canaan, God said, I'm going to give you Canaan, that's the very foundation for the fighting that's going on right now in the Middle East. They had to make up a lie as the foundation to go in and take somebody else's land. And we back it. We who don't know no better. You know, I agree with the president going over there. I agree. We need to take the gospel over to them people because they lost. Who's more lost than the people who made this lie up? They know it's a lie. They the ones who created it. But you don't know it's a lie. Africans. Sometimes, y'all, and I close now, sometimes I get weary because this program has been entrenched in us so deeply. I can stand and teach to sweat just runs off me and folk and show you in your Bible what it says, and folk walk out here and tell me that man crazy. I didn't make this up. I didn't put it in there. I'm showing you what's in there. I'm crazy because I'm saying something other than what they told you to believe. Talking to a very good friend of mine I've known all my life. Just last week, brother said, I talked to him a while, and brother said, man, I talked to some folk from Patterson. They said, you done lost your mind. Come on, you don't believe in Jesus no more. Ain't that deep? I done lost my mind. I done lost my mind simply because I don't believe in Jesus anymore. Everything else I'm saying is okay though, but just that one point. I said, yeah, brother, they told you right. I have lost my mind. I ain't gonna lie to you. Yes, I have. He said, well, you really? I said, yeah. I lost the mind they gave me, brother. have that mind anymore. For the first time in my life, man, I'm thinking. I'm thinking. I don't accept stuff that don't make sense to me no more. Come on, honey, you just got to believe it. No, you don't either. If it doesn't make sense to you, you don't have to believe it. Stop accepting someone's indoctrination, and it's only designed to control you. Boy, this thing gonna break loose up in here after a while. I was talking to Dad Bill just the other night. By the way, he sends his love. I stopped to see them in their new home there in New Jersey. Beautiful home, and of course they're sad because they missed the village. You know, we're going to post their address and everything out here for y'all so you can write and communicate with them. You know, but Dad Bill pleaded. He said, son, he said, get up out of there. Get up out of there. I said, Dad, when God says move on, then I move on. In the meantime, if it takes my last breath, I'm going to keep telling African minds here in Dred Scott City that they need to be free. Can y'all dig what I'm saying? What was that movie say? Can you dig it? Africa and Africans must be free. Ashe.